guest Hex Mac with another episode of Hexin Around. Unfortunately, Smashkane, our co-host here on the show, could not make it today. He's having some internet issues. Goddamn Comcast. Um, so he's not going to be able to join today, but we're just going to kind of just go through some stuff. It's been a rather quiet couple of weeks around Hex, considering the past couple of months. Um, I think that's just remnants of the end of the sacrifice phase, everybody being on that high anticipation, high stress level, wondering what everything's going to do, especially there towards the end. It got pretty crazy. We all saw the OA make those large sacrifices, which to me made a lot of sense. I expected there to be some kind of entity there that kind of implemented the same game theory into Pulse that we've kind of had in Hex. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different. Those specifics, I'm probably not the right guy to go into details about that. If you have anything, do you know what kind of different positions the OA might play? Um, this big account in Pulse as to how it handles itself in Hex. Do you know what I mean?
Um, it's interesting because the OA, for the most part, aside from having daughter addresses that it sent a lot of its hex to, it's either staking or unstaking, and that's really about it. It doesn't do much else than that, and we've only seen it really outside of what we've seen in the sacrifice phase, right at the end of the sacrifice phase. We've only ever really seen it act once before.
Yeah.
And that was in Big Payday when everything got staked.
And that's what's a little fascinating to me. Because again, in Hex, the whole value proposition behind Hex is that whole delayed gratification. You don't do a whole lot. It's either staked or it's not, or you have it there, or you don't have it there. It's very straightforward with Hex. But coming into Pulse, where we're going to have an entire network of action going on, all these new projects, because new people are going to want to come in and build, because we're going to have new updated infrastructure. We're going to have these cheaper gas fees. We're going to have all these new things that, quite frankly, has been getting promised to this space for a little too long now. So there's going to be a lot of people that want to come in. They're going to want to build on Pulse, and so it's going to be interesting to me to see how having such a big account, or having an account that holds so much in the same way that the OA does, acts on Pulse as opposed to Hex. That'll be interesting to see.
I'm interested to see that too.
Yeah, and I've got this pulled up right now.
I mean, yeah,
it's going to be real interesting to see.
I think just because it's not a product. It's going to be a project. So there's going to be development costs. There's going to be all of this stuff, upgrades, all of it. So I know that there's an inbuilt 1%. You can mint 1% of the Pulse supply at any time through a contract function. But outside of that, I'm not sure how it's all structured and set up and the governance and all that kind of stuff. So it will be interesting to see what the structure of this is.
What's really fascinating to me,
go on.
Is that this thing goes immediately deflationary. Oh, and by the way, guys, there might be a small lag between me and Hex Mac. He's all the way in Australia, so I'm here in the Americas. We're a good distance away, so if you guys hear the lag in between, that's probably why. But where was I? Sorry, having a total brain fart.
No, we were talking about I just wanted to interject one little point in there. So we're not really sure we were more sure how the structure of the system was going to be set up, because everything was there in the code. The OA was there in the code. The Big Payday was there in the code. Everything was in the code there already. Whereas with Pulse, the code's been released on, I think it's GitLab or GitHub, one of the two. But you're not seeing the structure of it, at least until the end of the sacrifice phase as well, because now it's being set up with, a massive part of the ownership being centralized by whatever is in control of that address.
Yeah,
So that's a big difference, and
because I
we're going
think
to
we were
learn more
sitting.
about Pulse from the inside.
Because I think, what was it? The OA sacrificed like 14 billion. I think it was somewhere around that number.
Yep.
And everything else was what, around like 750 million, maybe a million, or maybe a
Yep.
billion, somewhere around there. Um,
Yep. Correct.
and that's going to be real interesting because now you're looking at, of course, you're going to have everybody and their mama come out of the crypto kitty space and be like, oh, Richard owns all of it. Oh, you know, like whatever.
I
This
wanted
is
to
how
touch on
most
that a little bit today.
this is how what people have to realize, and Richard talks about this all the time. Go look at the markets. Don't care what you think. Like centralized ownership, from especially from a starting standpoint, allows more strength, especially whenever it's handled the right way. You go look at Bitcoin. Satoshi owned 100% of those coins. It slowly got dispersed to everybody else. You can go look at, you know, big Amazon stocks. You know, Jeff Bezos owned all of those before they got dispersed to, you know, who has shares and all of that. You know, the centralized ownership is not evil. The people who get into these centralized ownerships and manipulate them and use them for their own benefit and not the benefit of everybody that's involved, that's what's evil. People are not evil, not central. In life, we're naturally supposed to have some kind of centralization. You know, that's why we are where we are today, because in anarchy, which is what happens when everybody's in this individual state, we can't get anything done. Collaboration's important. And so that's why we need a strong centralized entity to take us into this new, instead of just, you know, like you said, instead of just finished project state, an actual ongoing project state where we're going to have additions, we're going to have new things, we're going to need, you know, big entities there to protect us from other whales trying to come in and corrupt the network. So, you know, because people like me, I could sit here and I can babble and I can talk all day, but I don't have anything that's going to stop these whales from coming in and doing whatever the hell they want with the network. We need an entity there to protect the network from those malicious entities that want to come in, control the supply, and do what they want with it. So that's really important. That's really important, and especially when you're working with a guy like Richard, because I can tell you right now, Richard's the only billionaire I know I've ever fucking talked to. You know, you know what I mean?
It's what probably until later in life, you're not going to get a chance to ever have that opportunity.
Yeah,
like
and
that doesn't happen to regular people.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, like what you have to realize is this is a guy who has spent his entire time in this space reaching out to people like me, and that's crazy. And that's crazy. And then you go and you see how he backs up the things that he talks about, and you know, Hex is pre-viral for a reason. You know, you have to have market growth before it goes viral, because if everything just starts popping off and you don't have any control over the project, anybody can come in and corrupt that shit. And so Richard's game theory, he's very, you know, obviously I don't know everything about it, but he's very careful with how he does these things. And I think Hex was a good example as to why he's a trusted entity in this space.
Absolutely.
So
I want to touch on those points as well, of like decentralization versus centralization, and you know, the whole centralized ownership thing just in general. I think that when moving out of a phase of like binary choice, where it's not going to be straight decentralization and it's not going to be straight centralization, it has to be some kind of hybrid of the two. We have to take the best parts of the centralized systems, and we have to take the best parts of the decentralized systems and kind of cobble them together.
To me, centralization, to me, when I think of centralization, I think of control and strength. But when I think of decentralization, I think of innovation. And so there has to be a good blend between those things. And you know, all those other things can come from both sides, vice versa. You know, but I think mostly when you talk about it, when you talk about having a centralized force, you know, that is to have that strength, that defense, that collectiveness to stop outer forces from coming in and doing things to the people that are involved with that centralized entity. But when you talk about individualism and you talk about people being in these decentralized peer-to-peer systems, that's where you start to see the innovation, the authenticity come out of people. And you just see the most simple idea, the most simplest of ideas turn into world changing. Because this, you take Hex, for example. Let's be honest, a bank CD was never going to get me anywhere. No matter what money I took, no matter what, it's a simple idea. You give something your money, and it holds that value for you. And as that value grows, it pays that accrued value back to you. And I think that's especially when you talk about, because my whole life growing up, they told me to save. Save. The delayed gratification was always a little bit in some of us. I don't think we always had the right tools to do it with, because quite frankly, putting your quarters in a piggy bank was not going to pay for your house. But these very simple ideas of just putting something in a way, saving it, and then all of a sudden we have this tool, this blockchain technology that can actually provide this truth engine and future market supply and all these other really transparent parameters that shows why Hex and it is so complex and it's so crazy, but it just originates from Richard sitting there and be like, why don't these guys have CDs on the blockchain? Like, why the fuck not? Because my thinking is that like he had this simple idea, and then like the more he got into it, he was just like, oh shit. Like, we're really about to run this, because I think Richard was just, when you talk about him being, in Bitcoin from the beginning, and that's another thing I want to hit on just real quick. I'm gonna just go completely off topic here because it's something other people have been hitting on in this space. With Pulse Chain coming out, guys, we're gonna have to start, and this isn't even any of the streamers. I haven't really seen this from. I've mostly just seen this from people on Twitter and things like that. We gotta watch the hostility.
Where this is going.
you know exactly where it's going, because this Hex community, dude, this is a community full of people who are mentally and physically frustrated by the state of the world. And so anybody who stands in our way, you're gonna feel the fucking fire, and there's not gonna be any holding back, because we're on a mission. But at the same time, with this Pulse Chain network, in order to get, because quite frankly, I'm not really interested in anything else. Obviously, as things come out, my mind could change. But as of right now, it's Hex and Pulse Chain. But it's important to stay open-minded to these ideas, because, it was ideas that didn't work that led me to the ideas that did work. And it's important for our accumulation and adoption that we're open-minded to other people's ideas so that they can be open-minded to ours. Obviously if people
as well in crypto, we all have the same fucking end goal. We want the same thing. Everyone in this crypto space, we want the same fucking thing. There's no point in infighting. There's none. It's just a waste of fucking energy.
And so it was real easy for all of us for the longest time to be one way on Hex, because quite frankly, Hex is only one way. But it's not like that on a thing like Pulse Chain. So if you're going to find yourself involved, and you're going to find yourself trying to be involved in Pulse Chain, don't represent yourself as a part of this community if you're just going to go and attack people's ideas, because quite frankly, that's not what we're fucking about. And that's quite frankly exactly what we're trying to get rid of. And so as well as these projects are doing, don't get out there and put yourself as a face of some influencer and then start bagging other people, because that's what took people like Richard away from Bitcoin. And just imagine what their community could be doing if they had kept him around and listened to him.
That's true. Yep.
So it is very, very important that
if they had worked with him and built with him.
Hex may not even exist. We all just may be buying Bitcoin. Like,
yeah, true.
So the matter of the fact is don't be stupid, because it could be the next guy who's just been too scared to show his face. That's got a really good idea, and somebody turns him away because they wanted to be a toxic asshole on social media, and all of a sudden we just lost a really good idea that could have been adopted into this project. So please, like, obviously, if people are coming at you sideways and they don't know what they're talking about, put them in check, because they need to be educated. But if people are pitching you ideas, make sure you fully understand it before you turn around and tell that person it's a bad idea, because you may not completely understand it. And I've been seeing a lot of that on Twitter, and that's just not what this community represents. So I wanted to put that message out, along with all the other streamers that have been doing that, because that's important, guys. And if we want adoption, we have to be open-minded, and we have to be better than the last. It's just that simple.
That's correct. We do not, as a community, we have the Bitcoin community to look at and go, oh man, we can learn from what they did. We can take the steps that they are not taking. We cannot be toxic. We cannot be, extreme maximalists that just push people out of communities. It's not worth it. It's much better to have an abundant future where everyone can be involved in some way than a toxic, silo of just
dog shit.
Not good for anyone.
It's horrible. And when people start seeing that side of that space, where ideas aren't being represented, where ideas are being pushed away, they're gonna leave, because that's a part of the natural human psyche. We're all looking for freedom, and we're gonna go to where it is. It's the same way with capital flows where money's treated best. Well, I believe that the human psyche will flow to where it's treated best as well. And in a space where they're getting mentally abused all the time for all of their ideas, they're going to eventually leave that space. And so it's important that whenever they make it over to our space, they're not seeing the same fucking thing. Otherwise, they're going to hop right on the bus and go to the next stop. And we've got to make sure people are landing here.
I watched the, Brock Pierce.
I do not.
Big name in the space. They've been in crypto for almost, I would say, probably a decade. But he was on Nerd Girl's Building Bridges episode on Discourse recently. I'd recommend it. It was a good watch.
Yeah, I have to go check it out.
Said, even he's getting tired of the toxic maximalism, and he's been in this the whole time. It's like, man, you're pushing people like Brock out of Bitcoin and into other things and into other projects. Like that is either going to really turn out badly for the Bitcoin maximalists and community, or they're somehow going to scrape by and figure it out. But it's just not a good look. It's not a good look, and we don't want to have that kind of attitude. The other point, just quickly, is that we're almost a 2-year-old product, a finished fucking product. 2 years we've been out here. Every time someone criticizes us or calls us a scam, we don't need to just bulldog attack people. Those days are kind of behind us, or they should be behind us. That's not a good look either. Every time that someone says, oh, this, it means that you can't handle your emotions on your end. It means that if you're sitting there on Twitter and you're getting triggered by these people that you don't even know, you'll probably never meet, you'll never see, and you're going, it's not a good look for our community.
This is gonna sound, really fucked up, or not even fucked up, but cliche in a way. But really, what the world needs is more love. We've been spreading hate for way too long, and I think that's a long ladder of generational psyche that's been passed on from long decades of war. We treat each other like shit, and that's why the world is shit, because we're so used to treating each other like shit that's all there is just shit.
Yep. We treat our fucking selves like shit too.
Yeah,
we don't even know how to treat ourselves properly.
That's an absolute fact. You know,
it's a vicious cycle.
I'm guilty of that. You know,
same.
Nobody's really safe of that. You know, and one little, you know, just a little thing about me is I got lucky when it came to the crypto space. I had no exposure. I had no exposure to crypto prior to Richard. You know, you know, the first time I bought crypto was like last August, right? When, you know, the typical bought Coinbase was like, you know, like back in like July, I had tried the stock market for the first time. I put like some money into Apple, like I was literally because I had no background in finance. I was a physics guy, so I had the math. I had no real world application to understand what the hell money or finance was. You know, I had tried out the stock market, and I actually made like $200 to $300 in the stock market in like a month.
Nice.
And that was just off of a couple, maybe like $800 or $900. I bought a couple Apple stocks. It had a split, went up a little bit. I remember I bought. Yes. I bought. What was it? It was some stupid stock, and something that Trump signed over pumped it for like a day, and I sold it at like 4x. It was like I was getting so lucky. You have no idea. Like, so I made some money in the stock market. Kind of figured out pretty quick that I wasn't gonna keep that money I made if I didn't do something. So I got out. You know, I was like, I ain't messing with Wall Street. I did good. I'm out. Fuck that. I'm good. And then I tried sports betting. Like that was just the next step for whatever reason. I was living in, you know.
Let's start at the stock market. Let's go to the bets next. Let's go to the
like I don't know nothing about the stock market, but I watch football. So, you know.
I'll make it work. I'll fucking make it work.
So you know what? I'm gonna figure out how to make some money with this fucking money, because they were sending me, you know, helicopter money. You know, I just lost my job as a waiter. They were just sending me bullshit money. I was trying to figure out, okay, like I can go through this pretty quick, because I had like bought my dog a new kennel and shit. I was just going right through it, and I was like, wait. I don't, like, you know, again, no exposure to finance. Like, this is me trying to figure out my life in finance.
Critical thing that we need to do with the next generation of kids and just people is learn about fucking money.
Yeah.
We need to teach people about just how money
I can't believe I had one economics class. I had one 6-month long like economics class in like high school.
And it's such horseshit. It's all the theories. It's all the where does the value go?
I remember they show you the fake stock market. They give you like a fake amount of money, and you can go buy some fake stocks, and they try to see who makes all the. All these high schoolers are like, I don't fucking understand it, but I'm gonna buy it. That's how they like straight up. Like that's how most like people see it, and it's so. Anyways, I had gotten out of the stock market. I went into sports betting because I live in Colorado. I could just sign on to a sports app and just bet money right there on my phone. So I was just like, you know what, whatever. I think if I remember right, I didn't lose or make any money. I think I stayed. Like I bet like 2 weeks in a row on just some different small shit. Didn't make anything, didn't lose anything, and I was like, all right, I'm out. A roommate I was living with at the time, he kind of got me, you know, was talking about crypto a little bit. I bought crypto for reasons outside of wanting crypto, because obviously you can just send it and buy things. But I was just kind of looking through it, and I was just like, there's crazy volatility in this crypto stuff. Like you can see it in this like little 2013 run, because you know, at the time, the way the graphs look was just that 2017 spike and down. you know, but it doesn't show, coming from the cents and all that other stuff. And I started watching more videos, and I'm just like, there's crazy volatility in this stuff. My dumbass put $100 in there and spread it out over every coin on Coinbase, and I was like, I'll get lucky on one of them.
That's it. That's it. The shotgun approach.
But this is where my journey to Hex begins, because you have that list of all the coins they have on Coinbase, and then right at the top, it's like, make a 5% APY, Cosmos, make a 2% APY, DAI. And I'm like, okay. So I go into these, and it's like, what is this? And it's like, you can stake your coins and make a certain amount of APY. And I was like, all right, cool. This is what I'm looking for. I could put my money somewhere and make more money. But then I'm kind of thinking like, but I guess this could go down, and that could counteract the APY that I'm making, So what I wanted to see is, if these guys are doing, APYs, I'm just gonna look up high yielding crypto for staking. And I just Googled it.
You're a DJ, and I fucking love it.
Like, I'm so fucking degenerate on how I found this shit. I'm so fucking degenerate, all right? Like, even with a background in physics, I'm not even fucking using it to find this shit. Like, I'm just, and so, but to me, it was it goes back to that simple idea, that idea of something being so simple that it can go such a far way. I can put my money here, I can stake it, I can make more interest. And before I know it, I'm on the front page of Hex staring at a fucking 40% APY, wondering just how real this shit is. And, I looked at a couple videos of Richard, and I'm like, okay, like, this guy's legit. Like, nobody's going to make a scam and then put their face all over YouTube. To me, just that, word of mouth interaction, live streaming, to me, that was enough legitimacy to look more into it. I bought a little bit before the big payday, staked it, got, that big payday bonus based on what I had in there. And it wasn't a lot. It was probably like $80 worth. By the end of the big payday, it was like $120, $130 worth. And then everything crashed. And
I was fine then.
Mostly everybody was like, ha, we knew it. It was a fucking scam. I get through this big payday. I'm looking at my average interest rates on those like little 3 stakes that I have, and then I'm staring at 0.003.
In for a sec. We might have a guest here, Johnny, Chaotic Creations. You wanna come in, brother? We'll get the link for you.
Oh, is that who is that?
I'll drop Johnny.
Oh, Johnny Chaos?
Yeah.
Yeah. Send him in. Sorry, I got so carried away. I wasn't even looking at the chats, y'all. I apologize.
No. You're good, man.
Yeah, please bring him in. Let me go ahead and go through these. Let's see. Huh. Is that popping up here? Yeah, there it is. Thank you, Piston, for stopping by. Kat G, thank you, sir. Thank you for stopping by. Chaotic Creation.
That is not the link.
Chaos. Chaos.
I don't know what the fuck that link that I just dropped in there is, but it's not that.
Let me see.
Yeah, try and drop it again. I don't know if it's no, I got it here. I got it. Johnny.
You got it?
Brother. Get in here.
Sweet.
Chaos. It's happening. I did it. I summoned you. I summoned thee. All right, man. So front page of hex.com, 40% APY. You found it?
Yeah.
You got in after big payday happened. What
front page. And so big payday happened. Everything kind of crashed, dropped afterwards, and everybody's sitting here talking that shit to Richard. Everybody's selling. Everybody's, getting their big payday out. And I'm sitting here and I'm just looking at this thing, and I'm like, 40% APY, 0.003 hex. I'm looking at like 30-40 bucks per T-share, and I'm trying to tell y'all, I back then I didn't even understand it as well as I do now. You can ask my dad. You can straight up ask my dad. Like, I'm asking him for money. I'm asking, like, I'm putting money I don't have in this fucking thing. like I am putting like everything I can into Hex. Did that for about 3 or 4 months, and I've been chilled out since. And it's actually crazy. My last stake, because I got about 15, 16 in there, and there were like a few $100s here and there. My last stake was at 1.4 cents. I put $1,500 in there for 15 years. I took what I had in tax returns, and I was like, fuck that government money. Just threw it right into Hex. So
where it belongs. Where it belongs.
Dude, exactly. It went right into Hex. And you know, through a lot of this, I had a lot of anxiety. Like, it wasn't just like I knew that I knew that I had a 40% APY. I didn't understand, you know, the price discovery.
60% on those 5555s.
Oh yeah, dude, no,
more than 60%.
Well, because to me, and this is where my background in mathematics saved me, is I understood the deal I was getting out of those T-shares. I understood, you know, at that higher T-share rate, you know, it may be paying me, you know, it's just crazy, man. Like the T-shares, I still don't fully understand them, but I know for 100%, like your T-shares are your best deal. 15-year T-shares are your best deal. Like you literally can't get a better deal anywhere on this planet than a 15-year stake. Like when you go to the stake page, you press the max button and then you type in 5555 and then you stake it. That's all you got to know, because it's like, other than that, you're just getting a worse deal than you could have gotten. You're getting your best deal by staking it as long as possible. And there's millions, probably even up to close to like a billion staked for that time period at this point. So you have money backing your investment. You can go look at the future market supply. You know, there is money backing that time period. So it's just it's crazy to think about it. Is Johnny still coming in here?
I think I'm trying to get the link to him. I think he's got it. He's at least seen it on Telegram. He might be a few minutes off. Yeah, through Big Payday, man, that was like one of the best fucking buying opportunities possible.
Yeah,
I mean, for me, I found Richard in early 2019, and at that time he was talking about Hex, obviously, but I knew that Hex was launching. I knew that there was going to be a free claim for Bitcoin. I knew all of this kind of shit, and it was just a homework lesson for me during that you know, early 2019. And then, you know, Hex happened, and you sat there through the whole thing, and you sat there through Big Payday. That was one of the best opportunities to get a stack on. And
it was a really confusing time too.
I miss those times.
I don't know. It was just a real confusing time then, because I was like moving out of my roommate's place, tired of living there. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of money. I was doing like DoorDash and stuff like that for money. Didn't really have a real job or anything, but I was putting everything I possibly could, like I said, into that opportunity, because for some reason I knew we were never going to see those levels again. I saw it crash down, and I was just like, this is it. I mean, this is my opportunity, and I'm going to regret it if I don't. And I bought all the way up to like 1.4 cents, and then I bought at 3 cents for my sacrifice money. I rode that 3 cents all the way up to 18 cents and had it sacrificed on that first 5 days. So I've made really good decisions, and I'm glad I'm glad I still have it in me to be able to trust somebody like Richard and be able to, benefit from that. It lets there's still good people out there with a lot of energy that are, can really help you out. You just have to. It's a lot of smart people out there. You have to find which ones you can trust, and that's really important. Johnny, thanks for coming by.
So big in this world.
Sorry I didn't introduce you. Everybody, this is Johnny Chaos. Feel free to look him up on Twitter. He's on Twitter as well. I appreciate you guys both coming by today. Before we know it, it's going to be like one of those stream parties, because anybody's welcome. If anybody wants to come on in, just ask for a link. I'll send you one.
Yeah, I had to call in from the phone because I couldn't get it up on the computer because the link was too long. So I'd have to send it from Telegram to my computer.
Fun time.
So I broadcasted to you live from my phone. No background, nothing cool.
Nice. Thanks for coming, bro.
Yeah, it's really.
Well, I figured I'd show up, see what was going on there.
Yeah, we were kind of just talking about my backstory. We were just talking about my backstory as far as like, how I got into Hex. Previously, we were talking about stop with all the negative shit and Pulse, let, people come in, have ideas, but obviously still make sure we're keeping those walls up as far as those people that are just trying to come in and spread false and negative information to people.
See, one of the things that had happened, what had happened at the initial, and that you'll see a lot of the reactions from people that are the OG Hexicans, is because we did have a lot of things built on Hex. That was like, there was like a big rush to build on Hex when Hex first initially launched, and because of that, it's kind of like everybody's trying to get people to send them, get your Pulse pre-sale here, that sort of thing. So we had that initially with Hex. So that's going to make the OG Hexicans pretty skeptical. A lot of us are very much veterans in the space. So, and we're skeptics too. So everything that Hex was accused of, we have already ran it through the mill, ran it through the grinders. We've discussed it with each other. What if this? What if that? We've been through all of that. So we're skeptical by nature, and I don't think we get a lot of credit for that. And I don't think people understand that the Hex community in general is rather skeptical because we have experienced all the bad things. So it really takes something to be really proven for us to get behind and support it. But I think you're right. We should not, be attacking things right out the gate because, it's not healthy for any economy.
No, definitely not. And that's kind of
to be a thriving community or even just a thriving chain. We have to encourage people to come and want to build on it. Now, the terrible, horrible games where people lose their money, not so much. Can we do away with that shit, please, this time around? But everything else, if you're coming here to build something and it's a benefit to the world, of net benefit, come, please. Yeah.
There's been a few things that might have been good on Hex that didn't get a fair shake, and were just kind of dismissed. One of those things I haven't heard anything about for some time was like the Hex Bay project, where they were doing the encapsulated stakes. And initially, when I first heard that, I didn't like it because I don't like anything that says, okay, you need to pay a 10% upfront fee. That sends off a red flag immediately for me. Anything that's pooling, anything that's asking for percentages, that generally sends my radar off, and I'm like, this is not a good thing. However, if the people that were running it were going to do as they said they were going to do, it could have been a successful product. Once they really kind of broke it down, we've had other people in the community. Hex Patient decided that he was going to launch like a secondary referral program thing. and he named it after one of the initial scams that failed, which were a copy of Hex. He named it the same thing.
Yeah.
So the poor guy was trying to promote his new thing, and immediately he got the beat down because it looked like he was shilling, you know, a copycat project. So he's just getting the beat down. It's like, wait, what? I don't even know why you guys are beating me up. What's going on here? You know? And then he finally realized what it was. I blocked him myself because as soon as I saw that come up in my feed that he was promoting this thing, I'm like, oh no, you're done. And you know, and I unblocked him, you know, after he got a chance to say it was a total mistake. He totally misnamed it, but that was another project that never happened, you know. And most of the things in the crypto space, they don't succeed. There are going to be lots of things built on Pulse that are going to fall on their face. Okay. It doesn't really do us any good to attack them. Let them go. Let them build. Let them fail. Let them thrive. You know, that's up to them. That's not up to us, you know. But we just have to be cautious about what we invest in.
That's kind of what I was hitting on is, you know, keeping those walls up and making sure that when people pass through those walls, they're telling truth and they're spreading education and they're not treating other people in horrible ways and, you know, little things like that. But obviously, you know, like you mentioned, just staying open and minded enough and trying to learn enough to make sure we're not pushing people out of the community. Because another thing I mentioned to Mac earlier, Johnny, was, you know, you look at the Bitcoin community and imagine what they, you know, where they could be or where Hex would even be if they had just listened to Richard prior to him ever creating Hex. You know, they could be way better off and we could all be buying Bitcoin. But instead, you know, they pushed him out of that community, and now they've got to reckon with the fact that we're going to be a fierce competitor to them now.
Well, unfortunately, the main people that are representing Bitcoin are not really tech people. Okay, they're you know, when you're looking at institutional investors, they are not the people that are technical. They buy a thing because number goes up. They believe in a thing because number goes up, and some of their ideas on why they believe in Bitcoin are totally miscued. So you can be right about something for the completely wrong reasons. And that's kind of what the case is. Bitcoin is a store of value. It is still a useful tool, but you got to stop trying to spread lies on what you believe it is or why you think it does what it does when you really have no knowledge of it. You don't have to know how to build an engine to drive a car. And these people know how to drive a car, but they know nothing about the engine or what works underneath. And when they're hit with the reality of, wait a second, this thing really hasn't changed all that much. The only thing that's really changed is the price and the price level. Because as the price goes up, they think it's better. Just like right now, they're celebrating this bull trap that we're in, and they're like, "Oh, we're up 10%." Yeah, it looks like a big number on the screen, but you know, if you bought $100 worth, congratulations, you got $110. How is that good for new people coming into the space? Oh, yay! You now have $110 out of your $100. That's great. Yay! You know. If it goes up to $100,000, what? Your $100 is now $200? How are you supposed to sell that to people exactly? You know?
You just can't. There's, you know, and it's like Richard says, you know, everybody that's going to buy that thing is already bought. And now that price is going to kind of, you know, follow their lead. It doesn't really matter. You're never going to, I mean, I guess you could, you know, like you say, fall into the wave and make some money there, make some little side scrap money. But the matter of the fact is that's Bitcoin is not, and Wales talks about this 24/7. It's just not in the white paper. It's not what it was supposed to or intended to be. And I think that's why people like Richard have left, because we're looking for a peer-to-peer digital cash system where everybody that's involved kind of has a say and, you know, an act on where that price is going to go. And that's just not where things are in this space. Especially when you look at Bitcoin, that price is going to go wherever they want it.
I saw a post the other day where one of the maxis was talking about the holder of Bitcoin. No, they're not. The miners are in control of Bitcoin. They control the price, they control the network, they control everything. And it's such a false statement, you know. You are totally at the disposal of the miners. And this whatever, the Ethereum upgrade, they're like, okay, now
doing
we
the
had to
same
keep burning.
You're doing the same thing.
Like 1559.
When you buy Bitcoin, like the only advantage that you're getting over the dollar bill that you might get in Bitcoin is price discovery. But other than that, you're the same distance away from the inflation as you are in the legacy system. You never get to touch that before it hits the market, and by the time it does, it's not as valuable. You know,
and it's not as profitable even for the miners because they have that external sell pressure. So they don't get to keep as much of their profits as those miners would if they'd switch to a product like Hex, because then they get to keep all the profits. And they can choose to restake those profits. It's like buying new hardware for free and increasing the rate of percentage. You can't do that with mining, with the function of mining.
Yeah. Well, it's just fair that, you know, we're very, and I was trying to explain this to my dad earlier. Like, I feel like for very forceful reasons, we're in a period of time where I think our finance is just prehistoric at this point. Like I think it should be pretty obvious that all of those that are involved in an economic system should reap the benefits of that economic system. And I think that's something that most people who have these ideas of a free market have agreed on, yet it hasn't happened.
No, you got the people come in and then they want to replicate the old system on the new system, only they change who controls it. So now they're in control, and it's the same old system replicated on the new system. It's just like Richard was saying, socialism doesn't work, because what happens is people are going to lose their money, and then the rich end up getting most of the money anyway. It's the same sort of scenario, only they're thrown in the position of power. Now they control this new network, this new monetary system. So, you know, fractional reserve. That's what it is.
I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, to me, you know, if people can't understand money that well, I try to put it in terms of agriculture. I mean, if you're selling all your plants and food faster than you can grow it, you're not going to make anything. And that's kind of just what's happening in places like the legacy. Go ahead.
Well, our main system is the debt system. That's the kicker, right? You have to get away from the debt system and the building wealth system. Most people don't save. They buy it before they have it. And that is just the culture, and that's the nature of people. And even the people coming into crypto space, they still have that mindset where they have to, you know, cash out, or they have to have it all at once. They have to have it now. It's the now mentality that's a problem.
I think that's a good point too. Where it seems to me where the market
system redesigns, Go ahead.
Yeah. To me, where it seems like the market is going is that, you know, you talk about a lot of this is caused by the fact that people are borrowing money. They're trying to buy it before they have it. And I think we're, you know, when you look at where the markets are today, especially for, you know, depending on where you live, how close you are to your job, things like that, you know, a lot of pretty bare necessities are required that you borrow money at a young age just in order to afford those things. I think a good example would be a car. If you're somebody living inside the city, you know, you're going to need something like a car. I don't think a lot of kids out of high school, you know, got, you know, the $5,000 to $15,000 that it can, you know, cost to, you know, get a cheap one. You know, you can probably buy a cash car, but inevitably that's going to cost more money trying to keep up with it, and it breaks down and things like that. So, you know, it's sad to me that you're right. You know, a lot of the problems are caused by the fact that people are being loaned out money, and imaginary money is being created out of fucking thin air. But at the end of the day, how do we get the markets back to a point where people don't have to borrow money to have, you know, pretty bare necessities that are yet still expensive for things like cars, so that people can get around on their own and things like that? And obviously there's other options, and so that's why I say it kind of depends on where you live, because I'm sure if you live in the middle of New York City, you're going to end up taking like a, you know, train or something like that before you get a car. But that's just
Well,
one
let's say
example.
that kids nowadays are not going to be able to pay off their student loans. They're not going to be able to own a car. They're not going to be able to pay off a
Absolutely not.
house. That is a big problem, and that is the problem that you get when you have this sort of debt system. Now think about this. Here's a trip. I'm not advocating for this because I believe education's important, but you can go $100,000 in debt and go to college. Or if you would have put that $100,000 in HEX, you wouldn't need college.
Yeah.
Look at that. You wouldn't even need to be bright. And that's what we got a lot in crypto space. We got a lot of unbright people with a lot of money.
Yeah. And what I would recommend to people out there, because, I go to college, but I'm actually learning computer science online. And so, that's something that I would recommend to people is, find something that you can applicably learn on a computer. Because for me, I was doing physics. You can't do physics from a computer. I mean, that's just such a hands-on topic, especially when you get into the deeper details of it. It doesn't really work from a computer. But education is hard and it is unaffordable. But I think it's important for a lot of us to still try to go after that. And so it just kind of depends on where you want to find it, because I think education can go two ways as far as trying to learn it on your own or trying to go and get it from, an online school or a university or some higher education platform. I think it's just, I don't know.
Well, the thing is they lie to you. See, colleges.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. It kind of goes two ways because. No, I can still hear you.
You're still here. You're still here, bro. It might be a bit janky. I think even like something like setting it up so that imagine in school, as you're moving through school, you were getting a financial education and you were learning how to save in school.
Yeah.
So by the time that you get out of school, you have the money to go and get a car. You have
and
the
that's
money
kind of what I
to
mean
at
is
least
that
go and start college or do something. That's completely removed out of the equation until, let's educate you, let's get you all set up and going, and then you've got to go and learn about money on your end after all of this shit happened. Like, invert the power structure there so that you're learning it as you go, and then by the time that you get out, you have money to be able to go and do something in the world. You have money to, like, imagine at 18. You had $20,000 and you could go and drop 10 into HEX and you could go and drop 10 on a car. And then you would at least have something there where it's like, oh shit, man, like I'm not broke. I don't have to put myself in debt. I don't have to jump through these fucking stupid debt loops just to satisfy the culture or the society.
I'll be damned if you end up in a hospital. Don't even get me started on that. That shit's annoying.
Education. It starts with education. It has to start with education.
Because like you break a leg or something, you're gonna be dealing with debt collectors for at least the next 24 months. It's just absolutely guaranteed, and it's just things like that is ridiculous, especially when we already have so much soaking up our psyche all the time. It's just unhealthy to have these many requirements to do such little things that require so little freedom to do. They'll strip everything you have just to do the littlest thing. And I appreciate doctors. I appreciate that we have the modern age of medicine and we can go somewhere to get treated, but it's absolutely ridiculous to think that 2 years after that, when it's not even relevant anymore, you got to fight with people because they're telling you owe them money. And it's like,
it's not the doctors even though. See, that's the thing. It's not the doctors. It's the organizations behind it. They're not the ones getting the money. In fact, those doctors, unfortunately, don't make a lot of money. Why? Because they're paying, hundreds of thousands of dollars in student debt. I know a doctor that is an audience 26 years old, and she has $250,000 worth of debt. And their first couple of years are as an intern.
Because it's like,
and
how are you going to
get couple years as an intern?
How are you going to get more people into the medical field or more people into these fields?
So now they're working and they're spending their time without aid.
And they're
Lord
doing one of the
Jesus.
most fucking important jobs in the society. Like, the fuck?
Yeah, you know, and
Yeah,
a lot
so
of
I mean, that's
the big thing that I've been seeing, the big thing that I've been seeing, you know, especially from a lot of people who don't take 5 seconds to just like think about things is like, you know, and I'm not even going to go into specific topics because obviously we're live right now and you can only talk about so many few things before you get censored. But, you know, people are sitting here like, trust the science. And it's like, what science? Nobody's put any data in front of me. Nobody's
well, you
putting
don't
no
even
data
want
So much data.
you know,
That how do you tell what's real?
dude, it's
the business
information
of
overload.
science. Business of science is the pain in the ass. That's what I wanted to do, guys. When I wanted to do when I grew up is I wanted to be a scientist, and I wanted to develop things. I went into pharmacology. I went into
me too.
you know, chemistry, and I wanted to be.
No.
And then I found out something. It's called the business of science. You know what science, the business of science is? You are paid to report certain results. If your results do not match that, you do not get a paycheck. So they actually start with the narrative and pay
Wow.
you to find the evidence to support it. That's the business of science.
Yeah.
So that's why people that are doing real research have trouble and struggle for funding, because that is what the business of science is filled with, is you know, these things. You want to know something even screwier? Think about this. Biomed labs, okay? Biomed students in colleges. Every college in the United States has biomed labs, okay? You know what they do? They take viruses, they experiment on them to make them antibiotic resistant, okay? And so they can find new drugs, new methods of killing these things. So they're creating problems that don't exist yet so that they have future market for future cures. And that is happening everywhere in every college that has a biomed lab.
Yeah.
Insane.
Didn't take the job. I was actually, that was a very,
Smart
that
move,
was a
man.
life-changing moment for me when I said, you know, that's all right.
Yeah, and that's my exact reaction. People are like, what, so you don't trust the science? And I'm like, you talking about the same damn science that created nuclear bombs, guns, gas chambers,
And super
you know,
viruses
like,
with college
yeah, and
kids.
super viruses. You know, you can go on and on about this shit. I mean, science does not make you safe nor a good person. You know, there's a lot of things that science is a method of understanding reality. It doesn't necessarily, and that method can be used to understand any reality in a world where we all don't live in the same reality. You know, a lot of narratives are created and we all interpret it in our certain ways. And so when they get out there and start throwing numbers that nobody understands at somebody and tells them it means this, of course they're going to fucking believe it, because they're not going to take 5 seconds to understand what that data is actually showing. And I'm trying to tell you, I've seen, I don't know what's what, and I don't know exactly what the, sorry, I gotta close this window. A big ass spider just crawled in. One moment. That motherfucker has to go.
Well, we don't, just in general, Hex a lot, we just say, you know, we don't know what's going on any more than that, speculating, because I mean, there is so much information. There's disinformation. There's people that are paid to report certain information, other information suppressed, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a big guessing game is what it is. Reality hits us when it hits us in the face.
And that's why I say education, to a standpoint, is this is how I take it. I like going to school because I believe, even though they don't give you that structure of education that is an entire structure, I believe you can find blocks there, blocks of that structure to kind of begin putting it together. But I think outside of that, you have to do your own searching. And that's where it becomes a really gray area, because where you're probably going to go is the internet. But I highly recommend that you read books. I highly recommend that you go to the library and try to read something here or there, because You know, especially in books, you just get a perspective that you won't from an internet web page because you've taken the time to sit down and open it. You know, it's just there's a wide variety of things that you should do to try to educate yourself, and it goes beyond just looking at a book. It can go into listening to somebody you usually wouldn't listen to, or maybe, you know, trying to learn a new idea from somebody else, or maybe just helping another person. You know, sometimes just doing something for somebody that you usually wouldn't do is, it can teach you something about yourself. And I think learning about yourself is just as important about learning about the world, because it's gonna show you, you know, what paths you need to take, and those paths are gonna take you to, you know, new things that are going to teach you those new things. Education is not it's not a destination, it's a direction, and you've got to keep swimming forward.
But the kicker here is, when you think of colleges and you think that you're paying, are you really getting education, or are you just paying to go through a processing station in order to have a certificate that says you're sufficient in these particular areas? Because in all actuality, all you're really getting is a certification. Because anybody can go to college that has the money, can pass college if they have the money to go. It's not like it's any sort of level or measure of anybody's intelligence or ability. In fact, when you come out of college, any job that you take, you are now going to have to actually train on the job, because the information that they provided you with is not sufficient enough to do the task at hand. So you're actually just paying them for the option of being able to compete on the open market with other individuals that have also paid.
And that's what gets to me too. You know, generally through my experience of school is that it has taught me a lot, but it hasn't taught me anything that's going to get me, you know, whatever job it is that I'm looking for. So that is, you know, something important to keep in mind, is those people are not there to get you a job, but there to get you money. So if you're there to get a piece of paper instead of getting educated, you're not going to learn shit. You know, and so that's another, you know, that's a really good point. You know, if you are going to go to school, realize that if you're going for that piece of paper, you're wasting your money. You know, and you can find these resources other places. You know, maybe for a lot of people, it's a social aspect. Maybe they just like getting out there, but with where the world is and all these close downs that go on and off, I don't see the point in that anymore, and that's why I stopped going to university.
It's kind of like a regulation.
To learn what you would if you tuned into streams like this.
I mean, you can
like, you're gonna learn so fucking much from just this.
It's kind of like a regulation committee, so to speak. Colleges are kind of like a regulation committee because, you know, they give you their certificate of completion, so to speak, whether you call it a bachelor's degree or whether you call it a summer. They give you a certificate of completion, and then you're allowed to compete on the market. But push learning is important. If you want to look at jobs that are out there and what it is that they actually do and the skills that are required, you can research a lot of that on your own, and you will still need the paper to compete on the open market for some things. But it's like, you know, I get kids in here and they're like, oh, I want to be a special effects artist. Oh, okay, I'm going to this big school, it's $40,000 a year. And I'm like, you know what, nobody has ever asked to see my certificate. You know what they want to see? My portfolio. See, they want to see the work that I've actually done.
Absolutely.
They do not give a rat's ass about that degree, because they have, you know, thousands of kids come out of those courses that never learned a damn thing, and they are not usable. They're not even usable enough to sweep the floors, and they think they're going to go to this school and they're going to go work on big films in Hollywood. And I got friends that work on big films in Hollywood that live in studio apartments and drive a beat up truck. And here I sit in my complex, nowhere near Hollywood, in Central Air right now. So, you know, I'm having a good old time.
Yeah.
But this is the kicker, right? You know, when you're doing something that is a skill, some skills don't require certification. What they require is your ability. And those things are actually more marketable to a large extent than somebody else with just a piece of paper that says they can do whatever. It depends, you know.
Especially in this world environment that we're in, where, you know, we're all online and we're all this. If you've got skills that people need you have the ability to just spread your influence and spread your talents and abilities pretty much any way that you can. Whereas if you're relying on that goddamn certificate to do any of that fucking shit, like, good luck, man. Good luck with that. It's value, like bringing the value. Like you said, Johnny, just then, they don't want to see the certificate. They want to see results. They want to see that you can do the shit that you went to school to apparently learn to do. So if you don't have that skill and that talent, it doesn't matter. Like, you've got to learn those skills. You have to have
Max,
those.
say you got the degree. Say you got the degree. You know, your honor cords. I got my honor cords. They're hanging up back here behind here. Somewhere. There's my degree. There's my honor cords. But anyway, say you got your degree, right? And you go to apply for a job. Guess what? Your test scores are good, but your people skills suck. So you go for your interview and you botch it. Why? Because you went for a degree in engineering and you have absolutely no people skills. You know what? No. You get passed over for somebody that's got lesser grades, lesser capability, and better people skills. It happens, right? So you can be very proficient in what you do. You can have a degree for it, but because you're lacking in people skills, you might get overlooked for the job. So it's just like, you know, people want to be an artist. I'm like, okay, you want to be an artist. That's what you want to do? Let me tell you a little something. You need to go to school for marketing. You need to go for marketing and sales and communication. Because guess what? If you don't have marketing and sales and communication, you're going to fail as an artist right now. I don't care how good your work is. You are going to suck at it. And people aren't going to like you, and they're not going to buy your work. So, you know, there's other things that go with things that they do not teach you programs. When you get that certificate that, oh, this is how you're going to pass your interview, you're like, hey, I got a degree. I'm qualified. I should be able to do this, right? No, it's not how the real world works.
Yeah, and
so anyway, nothing bad against college, guys. Do what you want to do, plan your future, learn what you need to learn, but always try to be above what they teach you. You have to be above what they teach you. You have to be able to stand out above you work for and receive, because you are competing with everybody else that's at that same level. The paper doesn't mean shit, and you got to be able to sell yourself to get that job.
Yeah, and I think the lesson there really is make sure, you know, working harder is only going to get you so far if you're not working smarter. You know, you gotta find techniques. You gotta find behaviors and things that are gonna, you know, push you towards, you know, learning a little bit of all of this every day. You know, a little bit of, you know, a little bit of everything. Balance to me is absolutely key in life. You know, I have a hard time doing it. You know, I one-side my schedule a lot, and it really fucks with my mental. You know, I think it's important that people are trying to, you know, take all the things that are important to them and learn a little bit about them each and every day. But I wanted to kind of move on from that. Let's move over here to the price. This is a beautiful chart.
Gorgeous.
I don't have much to say about this really, other than the fact that this pattern just kind of keeps happening. You can see, I mean, it's right there. I mean, I'm not gonna go into much on that. I mean, you can see it. I mean, if you can't see that, you don't have an IQ at all. That's literally just patterns. It's just the same pattern doing the same exact thing up and up the scale. You know, I don't know a lot about this, but I know a lot of that is fractal math. Wales talks about it.
It's like deja vu, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I mean,
because when you're watching it, like all these big movements you're looking at now, you'll see them again a month later, and we'll be at a totally different level.
Yeah,
it'll look exactly the same. It's done this like 10 times now. It looks exactly the damn same, and it's because this is unreal.
You really can't see this one down here, but there's another one that looks exactly like it right here. Difference is we had this huge supply distribution right after the big payday, so it kind of elongated itself to kind of get rid of some of that sell pressure. But it did the same exact pattern right here And then it's just done that same exact thing all the way up this scale. So, I mean, just looking at that, this thing is beautiful, man, and it's going to keep doing its thing. So, you know, these little drops and what it's been doing, these sellers coming in, it don't bother me at all because this thing looks exactly the way it's supposed to. In fact, had it just taken off right here, I wouldn't really see that as signs of a healthy market. The fact that it's doing exactly what it's been doing, that's signs that it's doing what it was designed to, and it's healthy, it's organic, and it's just going to keep doing what it's doing. So,
and that share rate sure isn't dipping, is it?
No, not at all. That share rate is never going to dip. That shit is up and away like Lil Wayne, and it's never coming back down. Whenever I came in, like I said, I was right after the big payday. So, I mean, I've already seen 2,000 hex added to this thing easily. And thinking about the overall value proposition, 2,000 hex coins isn't a lot right now, but that's going to make a hell of a difference here coming pretty soon. And that number's only going up. So that's also really crazy to look at, because just at $1, that's a $2,000 difference in the T-share price.
Well, hex is $1 each, 1,000.
No, I mean, it's going to be crazy. Payout is about where it is, you know, on this flat line. That's a pretty balanced spot to be at. Not too low, not too high. Looks like it is where it should be. So, rather a quiet day. I know the sellers have been coming in. A lot of people mad about that, but you know, dips are a feature, not a bug. It's buying opportunity. It's a good chance for people to get in, accumulate more money into these time periods, and just kind of get their bag set for the next pump, because we're gonna get something whenever that snapshot is released. People are gonna want double their bags. People are gonna want those tokens on the other chain. So I do fully expect that we'll see some action going that direction whenever we get more information on this snapshot. And then, you know, you guys can kind of
we're now bouncing off 12 cents. It's like, yeah, I don't think you're gonna be expecting less than 12 again.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, I see the bottom as like an absolute bottom. I would say like 11 cents. I don't see it going much lower than that. Just based off of this, these wicks don't look very strong. I would say 11 cents is an absolute bottom, but like, considering we just hit our top July 15th, so we're looking at 23 days. 23 days, and most of these are a month apart. So, you know, like, doing its thing. These dips look bigger because our price has gone up so much, but I don't think it's anything that anybody should be worried about. And this is why I have this pulled up. Nobody's going to want to sell the price against themselves so much and then miss the fireworks. So, you know, this huge support and liquidity right here is, I like seeing it there, especially as we sit here and try to fight over this wall, because we get everything right here behind us. It's going to be fireworks.
You know, that's not much of a wall. It's about $1 million. That wall is about $1 million. Somebody comes in and they buy 11 million hex, that wall is gone. So, yeah, it's not as tough as it was.
I thought you were talking about
that wall is funny tough.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about this wall. I was like, this wall isn't big.
No, nobody has enough hex to make it past that.
Yeah, so I mean, if we're being absolutely realistic, guys, I mean, somebody could do their absolute best to murder this price, and I still don't see it go much below 7 cents. So that's why you see these strong bounces when it wicks down to here, because there's just too many people waiting to buy in these areas. We've just got way too much protection on that price. So trying to keep it here, those guys are only going to sell off for so long before they realize that thing ain't budging. And when that time comes, this wall disappears and it's off to the next leg. We'll be having a similar conversation when that time comes.
Two of the God whales could dump their bags right now, if they had them liquid, 2 of the God Whales could dump their bags right now, and they would not break 7 cents.
You know,
That's how much strength is there.
I could be seriously honest with y'all in saying that, like, I truly believe,
that's fucking
like I truly believe Richard Hart could straight up rug pull the hex that he does have, and we'd still find a way to make this project work.
Oh, it's true.
Like the contract, like, and that's what people seriously just don't understand, is that the contract itself is self-sustainable. The OA is just there for a little bit of extra protection, making sure everything goes right. It's good for the game theory, but at this point in the game, you know, it doesn't surprise me that the OA sells so much, because again, or not sell, it doesn't surprise me that the OA sacrifice so much, because this contract is becoming more and more self-sustainable. You know, you can see in just the way that it acts, the way it defends itself against moves like this, the way it follows its fractal math. Everything lines up really nicely here, and I think everything looks great.
Well, there's a reason for the FUD on that, but I don't want to get into that because they're not bright enough that, and if I explain it, they're not going to understand it. It's just going to result in FUD. But the idea behind it is that it does kind of create an OA in itself in the Pulse network, and so it becomes a deterrent. The more solid supply, the less likely the price is actually to be hammered, because that does take it. It actually went down much like the AA did in a way, if you think about it. And of course, he did wait. It was weighted to the last day, right, when it got the worst deal. Right, it gave everybody fair opportunity up until that point, and then it took its controlling interest. Why? Because it's able to support the price that way.
Yeah,
and it's able to make sure that the product's on track, because you have to have a controlling interest that has good intent for the project not to dump. That's the part people don't understand. The centralized control is is a necessity, because we've seen what happens with even distribution, right? Or pre-sales. We've seen what happens with pre-sales. This is not a pre-sale. Everything's online. It's right out in front. This is no shadow mining, no bullshit. It's all right in front of your face. Some of these other things, they've got shadow mining. They shell stuff out to their first adopters, and then you wonder why the price goes down. Something like bank coins, we're not going to name it. What happens is the institutional investors get first tabs, and they get it at a discount. So what do? They slam it on their holders, because they can, because they're not selling at a loss, they're selling at a profit. And if the investors were to sell, they'd be selling at a loss. So what it does is it sets the price. It sets the price. If anybody wants to dump Pulse, they're going to have to sell at a loss, because it starts at 0.
Man, that's going to be so exciting. Can we just talk about Pulse for a minute? Because the mechanism, like,
please,
it's just going to be so different, because Hex has so many interesting features that we all just fell in love with. And now we've got this completely new project with whole new features, whole new parameters, and it's interesting because we all trust Richard, and we all know, we all know Pulse is going to work out well. But it's still going to be interesting to see what kind of directions it takes, and sees where those parameters expand, because looking at the extremely high supply, and looking at the the 0% inflation, being deflationary off the bat, it's going to be crazy to see how this plays out, because we've never seen anything like it in crypto. Forget about just in this community. It's never existed.
Nope.
It's a revolutionary idea, and it's going to be interesting to see, just based off of the money that was put into it for the sacrifice phase, how serious people are about taking advantage of, this new tool that we're going to have. It's going to be so crazy to see, and especially at the beginning to see, where Pulse starts at, because that's been a huge conversation. You know, obviously I'm not sure if I understand it right, but it really starts at where somebody's willing to sell it at first, or
it's going to start out at 1/10,000th of a dollar, because if it didn't start out at 1/10,000th of a dollar, you would be selling at a loss. And the best, if you think about it, because they'd be selling at a loss, unless they were one of the people that got the multiplier, and the one person that got the big multiplier sell it. Yeah, it's only a 2x, right? So, you know, how do you sell less for the 1/10,000th of a dollar? If you sell for 2/2000ths of a dollar, don't you double your money?
Yeah.
But the deflationary aspect, that's important that you brought that up, because I want to talk about one of the myths of Ethereum and their new thing. Okay, well, they're fee burning. Yes, but you forget one thing. Ethereum's still inflationary. So yeah, there's fee burning, but there's new coins being made.
Correct.
With Pulse, guess what? Once the supply is established, the supply is established. It is truly deflationary and diminishing.
Get what you can.
So get what you can, because it is deflationary as it burns and the supply gets smaller and smaller. So they have to start. You have to start with the initial large supply if this thing's going to last years, because you don't want to be down to one token. Not everybody can share one token, right? So, but Ethereum is still inflationary. So I kind of laugh when people are like, oh, but this fee burning is going to make the price pump. It's pumpamentals. I'm like, funny they're using that term pumpamentals that Richard came up with, number one. Number two, it's real funny that they think that the burning of fees is going to counteract the amount of new coins that are dropped on the market.
Dude, I talked about that on my last stream. These fucking Richard copycats in this space, dude, that shit kills me, because I'm like, man, I didn't hear nothing about any of these words before Richard, and now you just see all of these people in crypto trying to use these like methods and words of, you know, Mark, and it's just like, dude, you're not Richard. Stop trying to be him.
Becoming maximalish too. Maximalish.
We know what Richard looks like, and you're not him.
People are going to start quoting Hart's Law, man. After that TV interview where Richard dropped Hart's Law, we're going to start hearing these little things spread throughout the crypto sphere. Yeah.
And just that topic itself, you know, the liquidity bondage, and, you know, man, it's so interesting, because we don't have those kind of things in like legacy finance in the way that we have them on crypto. No. So it makes you see things from an all new level that has always kind of existed, but hasn't been as transparent as it is in an actual finished real crypto project. It almost educates you just by looking at it, you know, because most of these things is so hard to understand in our current system. But, you know, like you look at things like that, and it's like we're already coming up with new theories of how things are valued, and it's like that's just crazy to me, because now it's like we actually have our own platform for finance, and it's like,
yes,
now we're starting to see things. That's
because the real world and the students in school do not understand the concept of value. What I didn't expect was the fact that people in the crypto space did not understand the concept of value. To understand that you have to create value out of something that has no value. You do that because you're exchanging something that has value into that thing, and that then makes it valuable, you know. And they don't understand that concept, yet they're in the crypto space. You're selling a digital asset, you know, you're promoting digital assets. If you don't understand where the value comes from, what the hell are you, what you know, I don't understand that. They should be the first ones to understand that, you know. I don't get it.
It's part of that education thing where you go to school and you get educated on computer science. It's like, oh, you understand finance, but you don't understand finance, and you don't understand economics, and you don't understand all of these other things that connect directly into this thing, and you need to know those things. So we have a bunch of really smart computer scientists and developers that know fucking nothing about economics or marketing or understanding, how these structures work. And so you get these stupid arguments like, oh, everything needs to be decentralized, and like, no, like, these are bad narratives. Or maybe it's just that we're so early in this new system that people haven't really registered that you need all of these elements together.
Well, and I think
the one thing, just as software.
The one thing that gets people, I think, is that it's just because technology has gotten more complicated and there is more complexity behind these tools. I don't think that necessarily means that in general we need to be oh, he said he'd be right back. But I think in education, especially now, like, we convince ourselves that, like, just because things get more complicated, that it's going to be harder to learn. And I think that I think that puts a huge brick wall in front of people, because to me, even though I think crypto technologically is more advanced than something like, the regular legacy finance system, I think it still could make everybody's life easier. And so it might be harder to understand, but making your life, you know what I mean? There's a balance there.
The key to adoption is to teach people how to use it and not teach people what it is. Money works just like that. We know how it works. We know we can use it for things. We don't really spend a lot of time thinking about where it comes from, or the fact that it's a unit of account, or the fact that the Fed can mint as much as they want. In fact, that they're just in control. So they're just literally running a money printer and just handing it out to their buddies, adding zeros, putting whatever they want. There's no cap. There's no nothing, right? So we don't think about that. All we know is, look, we work, we get this much money, we take it, we pay our bills. That's what we know, right? When crypto becomes at that level where it's not so difficult, you don't have to do this or that or jump through all these different hoops to do it, that's when the adoption comes. And we're not to that point to where it's so easy that people are using something that they don't really understand, but they know it's useful. So if we focus on the usefulness and the accessibility, then we will gain more adoption. But if we try to keep all this complexity, the complexity just, it makes people's eyes glaze over, right? They don't want to learn. They're okay with what they know. If you're Absolutely. A multi-billionaire, you don't ever have to buy crypto, right? They're depending on these institutionals coming in. If you're a multi-billionaire, what do you need more money for? What do you need to invest in this asset for? Warren Buffett's never going to buy crypto. He doesn't have to, right? And that's kind of like the marketing model for Bitcoin, is get more of these millionaires. Not all millionaires can buy it. Well, not all millionaires freaking need it. You're trying to sell them, it's trying to sell ice to an Eskimo. They don't need it. They got plenty of ice, right?
Yeah.
You made a great point earlier, Johnny, about people know how to drive a car, but they don't know the internal mechanics of how it works.
Right.
We don't need to teach the people the internal mechanics of how crypto works for them to adopt it. We just need them to learn the basics of like what the value is and why this thing is useful, and get them on board with that. There's that massive disconnect between the technicals and the use case for the average person. And that gap needs to shrink down to nothing.
Right. Like the people that I've onboarded, but they're like, tell me what to buy. You did well. Tell me what to buy. They don't care. They don't care how it works. When you start to say, and this is really cool, they don't care, right? I got people, hey, how'd you build this? And I start to tell them, and immediately when I start to tell them, their eyes glaze over, and we both regret that they asked that question, because they're not interested. They want magic. They don't want you to explain the actual processes and the amount of time that it takes and the effort and all that. No, they just want to know, oh yeah, it was tough. Yeah, I did it.
Brain start doing magic.
So if we can simplify that, that is key. Accessibility, visibility, and affordability. It's got to be, okay, I can throw a few bucks in there. It's okay. I can put the money that I'm not using right now and send it to my future self. That kind of marketing is great. It's like a piggy bank. But when you try to explain, oh, look, this is the most advanced, sophisticated thing ever made on the blockchain. It has a new financial system and share rate, and this is how you this, and this is how you just dumb it down for them. It's too complicated. It's too complicated for the damn influencers out there because they're used to pump and dump coins that are fairy tale stories.
Oh man,
they buy ticker symbols
to see
and stories.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Hey, what's a white paper? I wrote on a white paper once. Hey, look.
I didn't really realize like just how bad it was until like just to tell you how behind. Just to tell you how behind I really am. I saw all the old like debates with Richard and everything else. But God, dude, I really did not realize how bad it was until he got on with Alex Saunders. Like I made it through Peter McCormick, and I was just like, all right, whatever. But the Alex Saunders thing happened, and I was like, bro, this guy is getting wrecked, exposed, and slapped all over Twitter right now. This is
he only had one argument.
Live.
He only had 1 point. The whole show, he only had 1 point. Alex doesn't think that you can sell because there's no liquidity. And we know how many Lamborghinis, how many trailers, how many houses. One guy bought a golf course. His other one bought 3 cars for his kids. I mean, no, we don't know any of these people. None of this is happening. Super Hex is on a private jet with a bunch of Hexicans flying across. We just drove a tank over cars. None of this is happening. We can't sell. There's no liquidity.
That cracks me up.
No. It's not happening. It's not happening.
Like,
they're not buying things. Like,
we talk about education when we should really just be talking about straight laziness, because all you have to do is look at the price to see that millions of dollars have been sold. Yeah. What do you mean the price can't be sold? If it couldn't be sold, this shit would already be $1 more.
The only price he looks at is the one on leverage platforms after he scams people for money and bets their money on the leverage platform. That's the only price he's looking at. And then he's going, oh, shit, I lost all my money. And he sells you trading courses and paid groups. When you realize all the money leaves his wallet and nothing ever comes back in unless somebody gives it to him.
Oh, God, dude. He said, I need to ask you for a favor or just some shit. I can't remember what the text was, but I was just like, bro, this needs to be on an episode of That's Cringe. Like, this guy is just like,
you baller. I thought you were more baller than that. I need a will, man.
Physically was like,
he sounded like a drug. He sounded like a addict, man. It's like, hey, man, you got a hit for me?
Hey, man, come on. Give me a loan. Give me a loan, Richard.
I need my fix, man.
Fix.
Come on, please.
Help me out, man. They got cut off body parts and stuff. The mafia's after me. Help me. Help me.
Like, even as, like, I would never beg anybody for money, bro. Like, that's just so pathetic. Like, where is your pride? And now it's all over Twitter because you wanted to talk that shit. Now you don't get any pride or money.
Dude, I'm just amazed. How do you ask somebody that you're calling a scammer for money?
It's just ridiculous.
I mean, literally insult somebody, and you want to talk about he should have went to school for social skills.
Because most people, they know that they're wrong. Like, what I've noticed is that most people, too, like, they'll come to a point where they know that they're wrong, and they'll still deny it because they know they have a group of people that'll still watch and follow their ideologies. And it's a shame that those people are giving them their attention because they're the victims and everything. But at the end of the day, like, you gotta look at the people that you're getting your information from, and you gotta validate it on your own. Otherwise, you're gonna get taken advantage of.
Yes.
It's literally crypto Stockholm syndrome. And this is how it works, okay? The influencers were born out of the bull market. They have not always been. Streaming wasn't always around. They were born out of the bull market of 2017, okay?
Yeah.
Where they could give you advice, which anybody could have said, this coin's going up throw a dart at a board, hit any of the coins, and they would go up.
Yeah, like
so they
you're not
look
going
like
to throw a rock at
absolute
the ground.
geniuses. So these people who followed them during that period of time were making money, and they were happy about it. And maybe they forgot to unsubscribe because they haven't had any good information since. But so that's where they were born. That's how they got their credibility. That's how they got their popularity, right? So then they had first mover advantage. And because they had first mover advantage, anybody Googling crypto in the algorithms, they would show up. So then people believed that to be the true and accurate information, just like CoinMarketCap was the first CoinMarketCap site, where they made this vanity metric an important aspect. And then they paid influencers to promote their CoinMarketCap and use it on every show. So that made them a trusted source. So this is how this all developed. The truth is coming out now. Okay, the truth comes out in the bear market. That's when the truth comes out. When the prices are dying and they're sitting there looking at their screens and they're going, oh, shit, guys, I don't know what happened. No, this doesn't look good. Whoops. I sat through it in 2018. I watched Sonny Decree on his live stream go, dude, yeah, this doesn't look good. And the price just kept going down. Damn, watching the red lines on the screen. And then he disappeared for a while. Price started pumping back. Guess who's back?
Hey, guys.
What happened? You know what happened?
I told you it was going to go up.
I told you it was going to go up. I told you it was coming back. So this is what happens during that time, right? Everyone gets wrecked, punches their monitor, chucks their computer out, and says, screw it, I'm out, and they don't come back. And then next pump cycle, new people go, oh, this crypto thing's going up. Let me go Google. And the cycle starts over.
And those people that threw their computer out can't find their hard drive and their Bitcoin's pumping. God damn, what a shit show. And that's kind of why I went into my backstory, because I was explaining to Mac here. I had no exposure to any of that. My first little bit of exposure was really just Richard. I listened, and thank God I was able to find a safe haven immediately, because I love crypto. I know it's the future. Yeah, I did. Bro, and that's why I'm here to tell other. That's why I'm telling.
Holy shit!
That's why I tell other. That's why I'm here to tell other people, don't waste your fucking time, because we're trying to bring better people to this space, but right now there's not, and there's only one person you should be listening to as far as any of this is concerned, and that is Richard Hart.
Yep.
And they don't like him because he exposes them for what they really are.
Yeah.
So it's really a unified attack against him because he threatens their business model.
Yeah.
They're selling you trading, they're selling you leverage platforms, they're selling you nano ledgers, they're selling you whatever they can get a link on their page for. When you open up an influencer's page and they've got 20 links, odds are they are scamming you.
Yeah.
They want to sell you courses, they want to sell you indicators, they want to sell you everything. They're sell. You're not going to find that on the Hexicans. Why? Because we rich, bitch, we don't need your damn money.
Yeah. The matter of the fact is that if you come into this space and you don't listen to the people who have been validating their information from the start, you're going to end up trading your cows for chickens, and it's that simple.
Yep.
It's that simple. You're going to make bad trades, you're going to lose money, and you're not going to get what you want out of this space, because while people are building wealth, learning what they should be, you're going to be out there supporting people who are only getting their support because of the amount of views that they have, not the amount of information they're actually carrying with them. So be very careful with who you're following and who you're getting your information from, because we're sitting here telling you absolute facts, and I don't have the YouTube pulled up, but I can promise you I don't have thousands of followers. So
and that's the psychological aspect too, right?
Yeah,
so that's the other thing. Not only when they research them, they see that this one has, they pull up them first because they've been around the longest, but they have the most followers. So people click on the people with the most followers because they're sheep. They're part of the crowd. Hey, this guy has a lot of followers, so he must be legit. And that's not true. I know Hollywood artists that do makeup demos that get a couple thousand likes, and they're on-set makeup artists, right? And then I see some girl that's just out of high school with the big chest doing makeup demos, and she's got 1 million views. So this is what you got to understand about algorithms, and you've got to understand that just because someone has more likes
does not mean that they necessarily have the right or correct information.
And matter of fact, if something or somebody has all the likes already, odds are you've missed that opportunity. The opportunity is where everybody's not looking.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So you need to keep your eyes open and stop following the crowd, because they're going to take that share of the pie that you're trying to get your hands on before you ever even get to touch it. So why would you go following something that the whole world is looking at? It's just not where it's at, and it's never where you're going to find your that end game. That's you're just not going to find it there, and especially in today's world, because it's not like people are out here trying to do what's best for your interest. People are surviving out here. They're broke and frustrated, so they're going to take advantage of you, especially when you come in. You're not educating yourself. You're giving away private keys. You're giving people your money. You're buying into these classes, and you're listening to people who have not given the time to find out what it is that they're actually talking about. And odds are, if people are making you pay for education, they don't want to educate you. They want to make their money. So where's the priority at there? Because it's not in making sure that you're getting the information that you need. It's into getting their wallets fatter. Because here we are at
selling trading courses, it's because they didn't make any money trading. So they're selling you a course because they're not able to make the money trading.
Here we are at an hour and 40. Here we are at an hour and 40 minutes of our free time of testimonial, because we truly care about people understanding and learning this information, not because we want to make our wallets fat. So it's important that people realize that. I show my face because I want people
fat enough already.
I want people to see I'm a real human being, and I want them to be able to validate that. And that's why I'm getting on here and showing my face and speaking these words, because guys, it's real. And there's a tool out there that exists that will permit you a formidable amount of more freedom than any system on this planet is giving you right now. But you have to learn. You have to, because even when you get in, that's not where it stops. You have to learn about security. You have to understand how to protect your investment. You have to understand how to, keep adding to it and making sure it's in the right spot, and learning about everything outside of what's just crypto, because everything's connected. You can't avoid the real world, and it's going to come no matter what you're teaching yourself. So I actually think I want to wrap it up here, guys. I'm going to go ahead and go get some dinner, and I have horrible ADHD, so sitting down in one spot for too long is just not a good idea for me. I got to get up and stretch the legs and things. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. But I really, really appreciate y'all coming on. And like I posted the other day, me and my girlfriend are we're getting ready to move across state lines. We're moving almost 20 hours away from where we are. So it could be a busy couple of months for me, but I'm going to try to be on here as much as possible and try to keep spreading the information, getting you gentlemen on. I'm going to keep trying to bring on no coiners and new people. I've got some friends I want to get in, so hopefully I can get them on and, get that no coiner perspective, the new people in the crypto space kind of on this show, and talking to those people, bringing more people in and onboarding. So we're going to be doing plenty more of that. But again, gentlemen, I really appreciate you guys coming on today and just speaking about these things. It was really fun.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I figured I would come visit because I saw you guys had this new stream going, so it's like, hey.
yeah, definitely. And I'm gonna keep it going. It's been going pretty successful. I've had you guys on here. I've had Vince and Wales on here, so it's going well. I've gotten you, you popular guys in the community on here, and that's surreal because I've been watching all of you guys for a couple months now. You guys gave me the information and the confidence I needed to get on these platforms. And again, this is my first little bit of exposure to crypto, and I'm glad this is what I got exposed to, because it's taught me a lot.
And you have more information than most of the influencers with 10,000 followers.
And that's what I know for a fact, and that's why I feel blessed and lucky, and that's why I'm here, spreading the word, because I want to share that with other people. That's what it's all about. So again, thank you, gentlemen. Leave a like, subscribe. You guys can find me at Sir Hex a lot on Twitter. It's spelled the same way it is here. If you guys want to give away your information, we can go ahead and wrap it up here.
You'll have to track me down, man. I give out no information.
I'm at Hex MAC on pretty much
I just show up and crash people's streams.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, you'll have to You have to track down the mystery man. You'll see him around eventually. And you, Mac, did you have anything you wanted to add at the end?
No,
sorry.
just
Did you have
come
any?
find me, Hex MAC everywhere.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up here, guys. Thanks again for coming. Thank you, Hexicans. I will see you guys all next time. Peace out, guys.